Hello everyone, today's topic is brachial plexus in detail. In previous video we have discussed the brachial plexus diagram and basic. The consist root, trunk, division, cord and branches. Root are C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1. Anterior primary rami C4 and T2. Trunk is supraclavicular part. Division is a retroclavicular part. Cord and branches are infraclavicular part. Trunk, root, C5 and C6 upper trunk, C7 is middle trunk, C8 and T1 is lower trunk. Division is a retroclavicular part. Each trunk 3 in number, divided into ventral and dorsal, which ultimately supply the anterior and posterior aspect of limb. Cord and branches are infraclavicular part, lateral, medial and posterior. Its lateral is a union of the ventral division of the upper and middle trunk. Middle is a ventral division of the lower trunk. Posterior is a union of the dorsal division of the all three trunks. Branches of lateral cord LML. Branches of medial cord MMMMU. In previous video I have tell you the short forms of cords. Lateral cord is LML. L means lateral pectoral nerve. It's applied to the pectoralis major and pectoralis minor muscle. Its M means musculocutaneous nerve. Supply BBC. What is a BBC? Biceps, brachialis and coracobrachialis. L means lateral root of median nerve. It's applied to the joint of the medial root of median nerve. Branches of the medial cord MMMMU. M means medial pectoral nerve supplied to the pectoralis major and minor. M means medial cutaneous nerve of arm. It's a sensory impulse from a small area of medial aspect of arm. M means medial cutaneous nerve of forearm. Sensory impulse from large area of medial side of forearm. M means medial root of median. It's supplied to the joint of lateral root and gets distributed with the branches of median nerve. U means ulnar nerve, half of the front of the forearm and 15 intrinsic muscle of branches of posterior core. Its short form is ulnar. ULNAR. U means upper subscapularis. L means lower subscapularis. N means nerve to latissimus dorsi. A means axillary nerve. R means radial nerve. Upper subscapularis supplied to the subscapularis muscle. Lower subscapularis supplied to the teres major muscle. Nerve to latissimus dorsi supplied muscle, its name. Axillary nerve supplied to the deltoid and teres minor muscle. R means radial nerve. It's the thickest branch of the brachial plexus. It's a very important for the MCQ purpose. All three head of triceps brachii muscle supply the 12 muscle on the back of forearm. Blood supply of the brachial plexus. Vertebral artery and thoracocervical trunk with its branches, the suprascapular and transverse cervical arteries. Clinical anatomy. Ups paralysis. Site of injury, it's ups point. 6 now meet here. Cause of injury, separation of the head from the shoulder, commonly encouraged in birth injury, fall on a shoulder during anesthesia. Nerve root involved mainly C5 and partially C6. Muscles paralysis, bicep brachii, deltoid, brachialis, brachioradialis. Deformity and position of limb. Arm is hanged by the side and adducted and medially rotated. Forearm is extended and pronated. This deformity is known as policeman tip hand or waiter tip hand or a porter's and tip hand. This is very important for the MCQ. Show the diagram here. Disability. Abduction and lateral rotation of the arm at shoulder joint. Flexion and supination of forearm, biceps and supinated jerk are lost. Sensation are lost over a small area over the lower part of deltoid. It's other deformity. It's a clumps paralysis. Site of injury of the lower trunk of brachial plexus. It's Erb's palsy is the upper trunk of brachial plexus and this is the lower trunk of brachial plexus. This is a very important for MCQ purpose. Cause of injury, abduction of the arm and sometime fall from a height or sometime in birth injury. Nerve root involved mainly T1 and partially C8. Muscle paralyzed by the intrinsic muscle of hand and ulnar flexors of the wrist and finger. Deformity and position of the hand. Claw hand due to the unopposed action of the long flexors and extensor of the fingers. In claw hand, there is a hyperextension at the metacarpophalangeal joint and flexion of the interphalangeal thus. This type of injury, it's a metacarpophalangeal joint in hyperextension and flexion at the interphalangeal joint. This type of injury, this type of deformity, disability, biceps and supinator jerk are lost. Complete claw hand, Horner's syndrome and vasomotor changes. Injury to the nerve to the serratus anterior cause sudden pressure on a shoulder from above, carrying having a loads of on shoulder. Deformity, wringing of scapula. It's a very important for MCQ. In MCQ, injury of the nerve of the serratus anterior. Which deformity? Wringing of scapula. Excessive prominence of medial border of scapula. Show the diagram. Wringing of scapula. It's normally the pull of the muscle keep the medial border against the thoracic wall. In disability, the loss of pushing and punching action, arm cannot be raised beyond the 90-degree. Overhead example, overhead abduction is not possible as it is performed by the serratus anterior muscle. Thank you everyone.